My name is Ashley Brackett. If I have not met you, welcome. We are going to be going over the UC transfer admission guarantee today. So otherwise known as the tag, probably what you've heard it referred to as tag. So first and foremost, just kind of talking about the UC. I know you're probably here because you already have a high interest in applying to the University of California system, but we really like to highlight some of the cool things about the UC system. First and foremost, if you don't know about it, is the Blue and Gold program. And that is a financial aid program, if you want to call it, where it guarantees, much like your UC guarantee, that your tuition will be covered at a UC if you meet certain guidelines. And one of those is for your tuition to be covered is if your family household income is $80,000 or less, then you'll automatically qualify for the Blue and Gold program. There's nothing additional you need to do, just apply for your regular, for your FAFSA, your DreamAx, whatever you're doing, and it will automatically screen you for that, and then you'll notice your tuition when your financial aid comes through will for sure be covered, whether that's through grants or scholarships or whatever, it will be covered. So we love that about the UC system. There's that guarantee of tuition being waived, which can be anywhere from $15,000 to $17,000 a year, right? So it can be an affordable campus, even though it often gets the rep that it is the most expensive. And on paper, sure, it is. But there's a lot of good financial aid that the UC system often offers. If your family household income is higher than $80,000, there are still some really cool middle class income scholarships. So you still could get discounted tuition at the UC. So just something to note about the UC system and why we think everybody should apply. There's a lot of potential at the UC system for research opportunities. So that could just be something that you're interested in engaging in, but also research opportunities, especially if you're looking to go on for a higher level degree, like a master's degree or doctorate, that is often what they're looking for. Or it can also just be a way to get you connected, right, with your faculty. They can serve as letters of recommendation or potential future job opportunities. And the UC system is very well known for their research. So there's a lot of opportunity in that area at all campuses. And then there's a lot of unique majors. We've looked through some of the UC campuses, but there are tons of really cool different majors. That's just highlighting a few of them there. But there are all kinds. So I know sometimes we tend to just go in for those basic same biology, psychology, the one business, the ones we hear all the time, but there are some really cool, unique majors out there, and you can often get to whatever career you're trying to get to through a unique major. It does not have to be, you don't have to study business to go into business. You don't have to study psychology to become a counselor, right? Or help people, the helping professions. There are a lot of ways to get there. So just something to consider. And then the UC is really great because it's a holistic application process. And what that means is they're not just looking at your GPA, although that is a huge factor for transfer students because you've already done some college coursework. They're going to look at you as an overall person, right? Where your background, where you come from, what you bring to the table, your work experience, the activities you've been involved in, why you're going to write personal insight questions, personal statements. So you're going to share with them why you want to go into that area of study. Very different than the Cal State system where it's strictly you're putting in your classes, you're looking at your classes and GPA and that's it, right? There's no human element to it. UC brings in that overall search in looking at their applicants. So they call it that holistic application process. And then what we love the most, what we're talking about today is the transfer admission guarantee. So you truly can have a guarantee to many of the campuses. All right, so what is the UC tag? It's a written agreement that guarantees admission to a participating UC campus. And I'll get into the specifics of who participates and what you have to do to qualify. And then you apply into a given term. So right now, why we host these workshops in September is this is the open period, September 1st through September 30th for fall 2025 guarantees. So you have to be applying for next fall. If you're here and you're not applying for next year, that's okay. Kudos to you for being ahead of the game and learning about this early on to ensure that you qualify, right? And it's something you can do next year or in the future. We do have a couple campuses that open for winter or spring admissions, and they open their tags, I want to say in May, for those terms. So if you're in that boat, you can always talk to the counselor, but majority of students are fall transfers, so then they would be applying now, in September tag, and then you'll apply for your application. I'll get into that timeline in a little bit in October, November for next fall. And it truly is a guarantee. You know, a lot of students sometimes find that hard to believe, like for sure, it's a done deal. And yes, it truly is a guarantee. They hold a spot for you. And we'll talk about what you need to do to meet those standards. All right. That's what you will need today, essentially what you will need when you're going to fill out your tag application, which I know sometimes we're on Zoom. We don't want to, stick around and work on the app. That's totally fine. Like I mentioned in the beginning, you can come into the transfer center anytime, or you can work on it on your own, and then you can always have a counselor review it later. So you can always do that at your time. But you will need an unofficial transcript, which you can pull from your My Hancock portal for your Hancock transcript. And then any colleges, if you've attended any other colleges, let's say Western, Santa Barbara City, the university, whatever it may be, you'll need a copy of those, and then any school reports that you passed in or took any AP or IB exams. So like I said, you can get that Hancock unofficial from your portal. Your student ID number, I believe it asks you somewhere in the tag for your Hancock H number, and then it's just recommended that you have a copy of your student educational plan. If you have one, you can access in DegreeWorks, because you will be reporting what you're enrolled in, like what you've taken, what you're enrolled in, and then what you have planned. So you want to be able to project out what you have planned for winter and for spring. So that's why we recommend that. Our goals for today: learn the information you need to know to apply for the transfer admission guarantee. Hopefully we'll have some time, and if you have not already created what we call the transfer admission planner, TAP, which will lead to the tag, we can get that created if you want to stick around and get that account set up. Otherwise, you can go on your own and you can create that account at a future time. And then if you have time, you can fill out that tab to get you ready for that tag. And it all leads that transfer admission planner, no matter what, is a good idea to start creating and get that set up, because it will connect you with a lot of the other UCs, even if the one maybe you're not going to tag. So you can communicate to representatives from those campuses. Plus, it'll just get you set up and ready for the application. You're going to start putting in all your information, your classes, right, everything. And then when it comes time to tag and when it comes time to apply for the UCs, you'll just hit a little button that says I'm ready, and it'll take, and you can choose to have everything from your TAP transferred over into your tag, into your UC application. So it's a perfect place to start if you have not already created that. Of course, answer any questions that you have, and then know what to expect after you submit your tag application. So key details, things that you'll need to pay attention to, depending on where you want to have this tag, with which campus. Minimum admission requirements, which we'll talk a little bit about. Hopefully you already know that if you are somebody who's going to be applying this year. Unit requirement for tag, GPA requirement for tag, which will vary, as you'll see. English and math completion timeline for tag, limitations. So there are some majors that don't participate and some campuses. And then that you see, like I said, you're going to use the TAP. That's what's going to get you into the tag application. So starting with some general requirements. You may only choose one campus to enter into the tag agreement with. So you want to make sure you're picking, of course, the one that you want the most, but also the one that you qualify for. So as we go through the requirements, you'll see that some have higher GPA standards than others, or some may require major prep that others don't require. So that could determine, right, if you qualify for a campus. But it doesn't mean that you can't apply to any other campus through regular admissions, right? Let's say your number one choice is UC Santa Barbara, but maybe you don't quite have the GPA, but you can tag UC Santa Cruz, do that. You can have that guarantee in your back pocket, right? The backup plan maybe. And then you can still apply to Santa Barbara through regular admission. So just keep that in mind. And then I don't think I even have a visual on here, but there are 6 campuses that participate in TAG. It's UCC, let me put it this way. It's every campus except for 3 of them, except for LA, San Diego, and Berkeley. All the other UCs participate, and you'll see because I'm going to go through what the requirements are by campus. So you can pick one. You have to complete at least 1 UC English and 1 UC Math for this year by fall 2024. So if, for example, you waited to take your math and you're not going to take it until the spring, like your minimum math, you would not be eligible for TAG at any of the campuses. Again, it doesn't mean you're not eligible for regular admission. You just can't have that guarantee. English, you should be pretty good. Most students promise A, put people in a good position for this. That makes you take the English and math early. But the only reason English wouldn't be met is if for some reason you really waited and you're trying to do it all in the spring, which would be pretty wild. But otherwise, that one should be pretty good. Outside of that, complete the remaining 7-course pattern by spring 2025. So your 7-course pattern consists of your 1 English and your 1 math, which we already saw there. And then you have to have a critical thinking, which is often the 2nd English. At Hancock, you can also do philosophy 114. And then you need at least 4 other courses of general education. That's what we call your 7-course pattern. You have to have at minimum. Students don't usually have a hard time meeting that because you're taking a ton of general ed, right, in class. You do have to have a California Community College as your last school of attendance. Y'all should be fine if you're attending Hancock right now. Where this could come into play is, let's say you're here, but you plan to attend a university in the spring and then try to transfer out from there. You would not qualify for TAG in that situation. It is expected that you earn a 2.0 in all UC units that remain with no grade lower than a C. So you just have to maintain that 2.0 between fall, winter, spring of all your UC units, and nothing can be a D or F. Actually, also you do have to maintain the TAG GPA. So I'd be careful of just trying to stay at that 2.0. If that's going to drop your overall GPA right below whatever the TAG GPA will be at your campus. And then of course you need to complete that UC TAP. So the TAG, and these are all due by September 30th. For those of you applying this year, September 30th is the deadline to get your TAG application in. And then you also, some students will forget, this is not the end. You also have to still do the regular application in October, November, because that's going to ask for a little bit more, right? That's where your personal insight questions, your activities, your scholarship information, all that goes into the regular application. So they expect that you apply in that time frame and you pay the fee if you have to pay it. Some people qualify for a fee waiver. Submitting the TAG application has no fee. It's free. And then you just have to go in and do that October 1st through November 30th. Although this year, all the UCs extended the deadline to December 2nd, I want to say. So you'll have a little bit more time. But keeping it like that because we don't know what UC will do in the future. So we'll just plan on November 30th is our goal. And then you have to meet minimum GPA requirements. And I'm going to go into that on your next following pages. I'm not going to link into the matrix and the TAG website. I will do it actually at the end because I incorporated the matrix pretty much into this PowerPoint. But there is a matrix that's perfect for you to follow and see if you have any questions. It tells you GPA, it tells you minimum requirements, what majors aren't a part of it. And then the TAG website, which you can get to from the Transfer Center website, just has all those details as well. So at time of TAG, basically by the end of summer, because you tag in September, you have to have at least 30 UC transferable units. Most students have this, but I know there are some students who are trying to kind of cram in the minimum remaining to get to the 60 in the last 2 semesters. So if you don't have 30 UC units to date, like they have to be completed as of now, then you don't qualify for any of the tags. And then of course you have to be on track to meet 60 UC transferable units by the end of spring. This is again all for this year, so spring 2025. And then a minimum of those 30 units have to be from a California Community College. Something to note here is we keep talking about UC transferable units. So reason is not every class from Hancock or any other community college are UC transferable. So you want to make sure that you check with a counselor to ensure that you have at least 30 and then 60 of the UC units, because there are some 100 level classes that may be transferable to the Cal State system, but not to the UC system. So you just want to make sure that you're have the UC unit. When you start to fill out the TAP and you start adding all the classes, the TAP application is really smart in that way too, and it will tell you what's UC transferable and what's not. The TAP will as well. So that's a nice guideline as well. And then something to note for those of you that may be trying to, you're only right at the 30, maybe you're only 12 units this fall, and then you're going to try to do the rest of them in spring. Just something else to note is you can't have more than 19 UC units remaining in the spring to reach that junior standing, which means reaching the 60 units. And it does all have to be done by the end of spring, not summer. Summer is not eligible. You can take classes, but they will not be used, and I'm talking about next summer, not previous summers. They will not be used for admission purposes. They're only going to look at through the end of spring. All right, not eligible for UC tag. It's pretty rare that we have students who are in these boats, but just in case anybody here is, or you're going to share with a friend, if you've already earned a bachelor's or higher level degree, then you're not eligible for the guarantee, because they truly were made and created for California community college students. So that is why that's in place. If you previously enrolled at a UC campus and then you're trying to go back to that same UC campus, you cannot have a guarantee there. Although if you're in that boat, I would work directly with the UC, because chances are they're going to admit you back. They're going to work with you to try to admit you back. And then if you previously enrolled at a UC campus and were not in good standing when you left, then you cannot participate in TAG. And then students can currently enroll in high school at the time of TAG. So again, this was made for a true California community college student that is going to be transferring. This also is pretty rare, this last one. If you exceed 80 UC units after applying the lower division unit. And what that means is, well, here, in short, the note on the bottom, if you only have California community college coursework, and if you have 80 credits, you'll never exceed the limit. Even if you have 100 units of Hancock, they're gonna max that at 70 no matter what, because they'll only take a maximum of 70 from community college. So you could never exceed that limit. It is going to be this is primarily for people who already attended a university. So if you have more than basically 10, if you have maxed out community college 70 units, and you have more than 10 UC units or upper division, junior, senior level units, then you would not qualify for TAG. So that's basically just trying. A lot of the UCs don't accept senior level transfers, right? You have so many units, you're kind of jumping over that junior level. That's why this. And if you think you're in that boat, just talk to one of the counselors and you'll double check that. So getting down to the nitty gritty important stuff of GPA. So this is the chart, and again, like I said, this is on the matrix. So this is by university. So you can see the 6 universities that participate, and then take a look at the minimum GPAs, because this is what may determine where you can have your tag, right? So like I said, maybe you're not going to meet the 3.4 for Irvine. I think it's for Santa Barbara, but either way, but you're going to meet it for Riverside. Maybe you tag Riverside, but apply to Irvine or Santa Barbara through your village. Also note where it says when that GPA has to be met. Some of them allow you to get to that GPA by the end of fall. So that's nice, because if you're like borderline and you think, you know what, I'm gonna kill it this semester, if you guys can get to that 3.4 by the end of fall, go ahead and give it a try. And then you can see some of them, it's by the end of summer, so it would be at time of tag, you have to be at that UC GPA. We put the engineering GPAs off on their own column, because most of them have different GPAs than the other one. If you were to get on this PowerPoint, which I believe we post with the video, you could link in. This just takes you to each of the UC's tab. pages. It takes you directly to their transfer admission guarantee. And the reason that's important, not only to look at, minimum GPAs, but where there are certain majors that have major prep required, or like you saw here in Santa Barbara, some majors have a GPA minimum within the major prep. So you have your overall GPA, and then you have to have a certain minimum GPA just within your major prep. So bio is a good example. You have to have, I want to say, 2.7 years, I think. And Santa Barbara is the bio classes, the chem classes, and math classes, on top of having that other GPA. So just little intricate things that you need to know about to know if you qualify. A lot of the majors, you don't even have to have major prep done. You just have, there's a lot of majors, even at Santa Barbara, where you just have to have that 3.4 by the end of fall, and you could have 0 major prep done, and you can have a guarantee. So there's a lot of other majors. It's really more like your sciences and your engineering, that are going to be the ones that business that have like the wider major prep to be done. And you can find all that on their websites and on Assist. Is the pre-evaluation provided as part of TAG? And what this means is, will they evaluate your TAG and give you a decision before you apply in November? And I love that they finally added this. They did not have this before, because it was very confusing and students were kind of waiting, like, am I going to hear that? And so now we know that Davis, Merced, Riverside, and Santa Cruz are all going to do a pre-evaluation. So they're going to double check your TAG application, look to see, yes, it looks like you will qualify based on what you reported. And then they're going to let you know. Merced, it says you'll have a decision by November 15th. You should hear from all of them by November 15th as far as a yes or a no. Even Irvine and Santa Barbara, you won't get a definitive, yeah, you're approved. It'll just be like, thanks for applying for the TAG. You can make sure you apply for the UC, regular UC application. But those other 4 campuses are going to give you a decision, which is really nice because some students maybe only want to apply to one campus. It would be expensive to apply $70 per application. Maybe they want to UC, I don't even know. It's expensive. So if you want to know for sure you have that guarantee and you're only going to apply to that campus, they'll let you know right ahead of time, those 4 campuses, so that you can go ahead and submit that UC application knowing you have the guarantee. Now, if they say, no, you don't qualify for the TAG, that also doesn't mean that you can't apply through regular admission, right? It just means maybe you don't have that for sure done deal. Remember that. A couple other important details. UC Merced, for whatever reason, they're pretty nitpicky. They don't allow for any DF or non-pass grades that were not repeated in your UC transferable courses. So let's say you have a D on your record, but you still meet the minimum GPA, and it's a UC transferable course. And you're like, well, fine, and I don't need to repeat it because I have the GPA. Merced is saying no, they all have to have them taken care of. Fixed. No more than 2 W grades, including EWs and major prep classes. So let's say bio is your major, you couldn't have withdrawn more than twice from your major prep. And then no more than 1 deficient grade in major prep courses, even if repeated. They're like, I don't know why, crazy strict. This year, for the first time, all majors, I believe, there are part of TAG. It's only the side this week. But if that's when you're looking at, just kind of note those things. And then, as I mentioned earlier, they do expect that you maintain that TAG GPA minimum that you have to have overall through fall and spring semester. So technically, they could rescind, their offer of the guarantee, but if you still meet the threshold of regular admission, and you fall a little below, maybe you don't have the guarantee, but they still could make it regular admission. And then, of course, like I mentioned earlier, you still have to maintain that 2.0 through fall, winter, spring this year, and of all your UC transferable coursework. And then it is a guarantee. This is another area where a lot of students get a little worried, like, whoa, I want to do the TAG, but I don't want to be required to go there. You are not signing an agreement with them. It's binding on their end. They have to save you a spot in that major at that campus. They're guaranteeing that for you, but you do not have to go there. If it's all said and done and you get into another school and you decide to go there, no harm, no foul, right? At least you have that in your back pocket as an option. excluded majors, based on campuses. So within Irvine, we've got art, business, dance, music, nursing, science, and then all of their majors in that School of Information Computer Sciences. And then the art major, requires a report, which is something to note, but you can't do it as a part of tag. So you'll notice a lot of times it's either like really overly impacted programs like computer science and nursing, where they're just so competitive, or there's not a guarantee because it's something where you have to audition with dance, music, or art. So that's usually why certain majors aren't a part of the guarantee. They don't have enough spaces to say, yeah, we could, admit anybody that qualifies. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped down to Urban. That Davis always throws me off with the blue. So there are no undeclared programs, which you wouldn't be doing, which you usually can't apply as undeclared anyway, as a transfer student, and then no landscape architecture, computer science, or data science, computer science and data science. At Davis, all other majors fair game. Merced, like I mentioned, this year for the first time, all majors are open for tag. At Riverside, only art studio is not available. Every other major is. Santa Barbara, it's just no majors within their College of Creative Studies. I know sometimes this can be confusing. I'm trying to think right there. Music. Music is also, there's a major within their College of Letters and Science. So the one in their Letters and Science is a part of tag, but not the one that's in their College of Creative Studies. So if you're confused and you want to make sure your major is okay, just talk to them. And then again, a lot of the audition type things. They used to have a tag for engineering, it just got too competitive. I think. Cool. All the engineering majors, and then at Santa Cruz, very competitive, impacted for computer science. So there's no guarantee for those majors. I think mentioned it. Major prep could be something that is required based on, so you have to meet the minimum GPA, the math and English, the units, right? And then there are some majors that also require major prep to be completed, and that's where you want to go and look for selected major requirements. And I'll show you an example of what to look for on the slide once I get through all of this. Timeline. So this month, by September 30th, you're going to apply for the tag, get that tag application in. I do recommend you try to have somebody review your tag before you submit it. Just make sure there's no errors and nothing wrong with it. And you can do that on a drop-in. And then October 1st, the application will open for UC campuses. You want to get that in. Like I said, it's actually going to be December 2nd, I believe, this year. But we're still going to kind of push that November 30th deadline. And then when you go into your tab, like I said, you'll be able to say, yes, I want all of my information transferred over to your UC application if you do want that. So you don't have to re-enter all your classes. You will have to log back into your UC application in January to do a grade update from fall and winter, and then make any corrections to your spring schedule. If you are not planning to take any classes in the spring because you're going to be done, you still need to log in and like activate the update, right? Say like, I've been here, I've checked it, check off. So if you're going to be kind of done by the end of fall or winter, just make sure you're still doing that update. And then you should just receive your notifications between March and May. There are some campuses that definitely get it out later. I would say majority of the UCs now are kind of in that April timeframe, early to mid-April. But there are a few that try to get them out sooner than that. And then we will have workshops that we offer in the spring, like next steps in January, what to do with the grade updates and supplemental applications if they have them. Plus, we kind of have the what do you do to kind of finalize your stuff with us with Hancock? What do you need to do to be done with us and move on? So we have some workshops that we'll offer all throughout the spring for that. So plan to attend those. That's going to help keep you on track. Preparation for the tag. If you have not made an appointment, I recommend it so you can for sure see that you do qualify for the guarantee. And even if it's just not for the guarantee, just to see like, am I ready to apply, right? Am I ready to transfer? So that's where you would prepare that student education plan. If you don't have it, fill out your UC TAP, the transfer admission planner online. If you can, highly recommend you meet with a university representative. And luckily, this month we have both Santa Barbara and Santa Cruz coming to campus. So next Thursday, the 12th, Santa Barbara will be here. And then the following Thursday on the 19th, UC Santa Cruz will be here. So you can schedule individual appointments with those reps, which is really cool. Or you can go online, and a lot of the UCs, you can do like virtual meetings with them. Visit the UC campuses. Now would be a great time if you have not toured campuses. This semester we'll be going to UC Santa Barbara on one of our trips with the UTC, so you can go on that for free. Just a side note, we'll also be going to Long Beach Fullerton if that's a campus that you're interested in. And those signups will actually open on Monday, so you can apply online, get on that list, and then you can attend those for free. Meet with a counselor, like I already mentioned, to have it reviewed, and it says at every step because you want to have your tag reviewed. And then when you do your regular UC application, you also want to have that reviewed. That one's almost the most important before you get that final application submitted. And then if you haven't, if you're applying in the future for Math and English, get those done early, definitely by their timeline. And then know those required desired major prep. And like I said, you can use assist.org for that. And then I'll show you, you can go on the website to see that. Keep your GPA above the minimum. You just don't want anything to affect that guarantee for you. Before I jump into questions, which you can ask, I want to show you the UTC webpage. Here. In here, you can go to University of California, which those of you applying to CSU, you can do that as well. And then here's the links to all the tag websites, which directly to their website. And the tag you can get to. And so on and so forth. Lots of UC stuff in here. And then you have step-by-step fall admission. That's here. And then you can look in each month what you should be doing as you're applying in the year that you're applying. You're going to move directly to our workshops, to our applications from here. So it's a very handy tool to use to make sure that you're staying on track with your transfer. And then I linked into UC Davis because I want to show you this as an example. We go into the tag requirements, of course, and we talk all about what I've already said. You have to submit it by a timeline. You have to meet certain GPA, yada yada. But if you're applying into a major that is quote unquote selective, it will show you on the website what those are. And then if your major is there, then you want to link into it and it's going to tell you what at minimum you have to have GPA wise in the major prep and what major prep classes. So this one's saying you have to have these math classes, one math class, and one of these econ classes. You don't know what those are, right? Maybe you do, but you would go to assist, and that's where you can see what those equivalents are here at Hancock. So that's one really good tool. Or something you want to pay attention to is to see, hey, first thing, do I have a selective major? If I do, what do I need to complete major wise and GPA wise? Your major's not here, and I mentioned this earlier. Cool, that means you don't have to have any major prep done. You just have to meet the minimum, the GPA, the English by a certain timeline. So that's really great. Like you could not have everything done and still have a guarantee. So each of their websites will have, if they have selective majors, which I want to say just about everyone will have at least one selective major. That will tell you what you have to have at minimum in terms of major. I wanted to show you that. The biggest things on here. So if you have not created a tab to get yourself ready, then you want to go to this link and I'll throw it in the chat. And that's where I would create an account. And that'll just get you started. So do that now or today, whatever, soon. And so I threw that link in the chat. This is where you want to go create that account. And then once you have it created, you can continue to come back and log in and work on the transfer admission. It's not everybody.